Hey, how's it going, YouTube? How y'all doing today? I am only giving cattle grain right now once every other day. So I give it to them for dinner just once every other day at this point. So they went from getting grain twice a day to getting grain once every other day. I only give them grain when they're up on that front pasture. Then I have to bring them back over here. That's only time that these animals get grain. I'm trying to see if I can turn them around here because they're grazing back up towards the front. Once they get up to the front, they'll just stand up there. So I'm gonna see if I can turn these animals around. This animal, he likes me, so he won't turn around. But if I can just get a few of these two there, they'll turn around if they see me. If they get too close to me. If I can just get a few of them to turn around, maybe the others will follow them. But I'm seeing if these, okay, I guess he likes me today. He's usually a very skittish. Yeah, he was actually one of my more dangerous animals. He was very skittish. But I guess at this point, he just kind of gotten used to me. Oh yeah, they're slowly turning. I'm gonna see if I can get them to turn around, go the other way. But yep, I have been keeping an eye on tractor markets to see what I'm able to find. Well, these animals are on straight grass right now. They're looking good too, so. I have been keeping an eye on tractor markets to see what I'm able to find. I have been able to find, while keeping an eye on markets, I realized that I'm able to find these big tractors. These, they're like 150 horsepower, big ones. They cost about 20% more though, so they'll cost about $12,000 instead of $10,000. But they're the big tractors. They're the ones that are like the size of like a railroad cars. So, oh man, I really want to see these animals turn around, but I don't. Let me see if I can get them to turn around. I got this over here. I don't know what this is. But yeah, no, they're just gonna make a dash forward up front here, I think. Yep, I have been keeping an eye on tractor markets. I've seen well, I've got about a handful of them that I've been talking to owners about. A handful of these big tractors. They're anywhere from about $12,000 to $15,000 for 150 to 200 horsepower, but they're called dualies. And so they're the tractors with the four wheels on the back, then two wheels up front, instead of just two wheels on the back, two wheels up front. They got four on the back, so they're called dualies. But they are huge tractors. So yeah, these cattle are just gonna go up front. I mean, it's okay. They'll turn around here later today. They'll go back over that way. So yeah, I've been looking. I've picked out about a handful of them. I've been able to find about 5 of them between $10,000 to $15,000. It's between $12,000 to $15,000 for a real big tractor. So big thing about these big tractors is that these big tractors, they okay, so I got a pair of smaller tractors up front. Those tractors, I'm able to just walk up to them, then take a look at them. Then I could I'm like hovering over them when I go take a look at one of these small tractors. These small tractors, I could even take their whole engine apart by hand. The parts don't weigh much. They're right there. I could just literally reach, then pull parts from that tractor by hand. These big tractors, for me to take, for anybody actually to take a look at these, to take a look at the engine parts, requires special machinery. So like if I was gonna even attempt to pull an engine apart from like anything like over 80 horsepower, I would need special equipment, just because that engine would be like up 10 foot high, and it would weigh such a massive amount. It would weigh a lot to even pull a small portion of that engine apart. Like the engine, the very top piece of the engine, I believe it's called the engine cover. Even just taking that off the engine would weigh a tremendous, it would weigh a lot. So it's up high, it also weighs a lot. So if I was even going to attempt to pull an engine apart from a big tractor over 75-80 horsepower, it would require special equipment. I would have to take it to a shop, or it would be extremely risky. It'd be extremely risky, extremely dangerous. So, well, my big thing right now is to just find a decent tractor that I could run for 2 years. And so the big things that I'm looking for in these tractors is to make sure that there is zero smoke coming out of it, either from exhaust or the blow by. There should be zero smoke coming out of it. Then well, I like to see clean oil in it, because if it has clean oil in it, that owner's obviously been taking good care of the tractor. Give it a fresh oil change, and so fresh oil in it. That engine, if it runs away at all, that's a big problem. If it's hard to start, that's a big problem. Oh, the clutch should be working, stuff like that, just basic stuff. Yep. So I got a few tractors. I even found a few. So there's a whole lot of these dually tractors, big tractors, over 100 horsepower tractors that are broken. Like I found one where the man was like, "I drove this tractor home 15 years ago. I parked it, then I never touched it." And so he's like, "It won't start anymore, but I didn't do anything to it," and he wants a $3,000 for it. But there are other ones that are like that, that they just like, "Oh, this tractor isn't running. It's an old tractor, for $1,500." So I mean, there's a whole bunch of these tractors around. Some of them are scrap metal. Like if I was good at fixing up tractors, well, even if I was good at fixing up tractors, I would need special equipment to pull that tractor apart, because it would just be such a massive tractor. They're like the size of like railroad cars. I mean, they're huge. So, yep. Like my small Ford 800 tractor, I could just pull the whole sucker apart by hand, just standing there, and take a look right down into the engine and see all the cylinders, everything. I could see all the pistons, everything. So like if I thought it was burning oil, and I paid $3,200 for the thing, and so if I thought it was burning oil, I could just take it apart and look inside and see if any of the piston rings are scuffed or anything like that. Change out piston rings, gaskets. I could do whatever I wanted on that thing just by looking at it and using my two hands. But these big tractors, they need special equipment. They're too big to work on by hand. Yep, I'll be planting this field with Sudan grass here in under 3 weeks is what I would estimate. I would probably be looking to have this field planted. Well, I look to have it planted by middle to late third week of March or so. So the clock is ticking. It's almost time. I was thinking about this the other day, but I was like, man, what if I changed up my my business plan here, then raised these cattle to slaughter weight. So for me to take an animal, for me to harvest an animal for beef, it's a 10-minute drive. So if I took a live animal here, just called my local processor, ask them when they have time, they'd be like, "Oh, we got time next week, you can bring them in." I could just, it's a 10-minute drive for me to take an animal to process it for beef. To process an animal for beef, it takes about 10 minutes. So I was like, what if I just processed animals myself? Well, okay, so my big thing was, well, I would feel better for these animals if I put these animals down here, then had a butcher come in, skin it, then take the animal to essentially cut the animal up. It's about the best way that I can put it. But I mean, it is what it is, right? There is zero such thing as a free lunch. If all the animals in the world could just eat good grass, if all the cattle in the world could just eat good grass for their entire lives, be taken care of by human beings, then just go skipping off into La La Land, that'd be fantastic. But there is zero such thing as a free lunch, right? So I mean, is it well, I mean, it is just what it is. I mean, people gotta eat, cattle gotta eat. A lot of these animals that live out in nature, they have horrible diseases. They get eaten on by predators. I mean, I mean, there is a benefit for these cattle to be taken care of by human beings as well, but that does come at an exchange, essentially. And this is what beef looks like. Yeah. So, well, I would feel better for these animals if I put them down here, then had a butcher come in, skin it, then take the animal in for processing themselves. Because that whole skinning them, then cutting them up, that is something that is yep, that's a trade in itself. It ain't just like I pick up a knife and do it. I mean, if I was like starving in the woods and I had to skin a deer, I'm sure I could do it. I would manage to do it, but you know, it's yeah, just bring in a butcher. Yeah, I've had like an animal break its leg that I've put down before, and so I mean, I know I can do it, and I know how to do it. And I would feel better for these animals if I did that, just because I feel like if I put them in the truck, took them to a packing facility, then had them harvested, a processing facility, then have them harvested, it would put a lot of stress on that animal in the last moments of its life. And so if I could just have them on this farm, put them down on the farm here myself, I would feel more comfortable about it. I would feel better about it. I believe that it would just make it easier on these animals. And when these animals, when they get put down, I mean, it's just a near instantaneous thing. It's just boom, then it's done. They drop. I know it's pretty gruesome, but yep. Usually yeah, well, I know it's instantaneous because relatively almost instantaneous, because their brain matter will come out of their nose. They'll start yeah. So I mean, it practically just immediately destroys their brain. So it's just boom, lights out, and so I believe it'd be a more peaceful way for these animals to go than to be dragged to a processing facility, then have all that happen to them. So yep, the animals are chewing on grass. They're doing good. I'm still looking for a tractor. Right now, I'm considering getting a bigger tractor. But that's the thing, is that these bigger tractors. One big thing to consider about these bigger tractors is that when these tractors get that large, the fence opening for me to be able to drive onto this field as well as get onto this property is 14.5 feet wide. So to be able to get through that gate, to be able to drive that tractor around relatively simply, it needs to be less than 14.5 feet wide. So yep, that's also important to consider too when looking at these tractors. Make sure that that gate is wide enough to be able to drive that tractor through it. So yep, I'm keeping an eye on tractors. I really need to have one here by February, March, by end of March. And I need to, well, the plan is to be if I'm going to plant in the end of March, I need to have it here by about middle of April, because by about end of April I'd like to be plan is to be taking first cutting of silage here. So yep, I'd like to see if I can raise these animals. Well, I would be happier if I raised animals to slaughter weight here than process them myself. I feel like it would give these animals a better life. If they have to bounce around from here to a feedlot to a whatever to a sale barn, it puts a lot of stress on these animals. So if these animals can just live peacefully here, then I harvest them. I would be willing to do it, because I believe that it would be better for these animals as well. Yeah. So that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.